Guys, welcome to Mad Talk Wrestling Reviews. I am your host Boyze, and this is SmackDown Live After Mania review. So we have huge surprise appearances. We have a massive title change on the show. We've got so much to talk about, so let's get straight on with it. Let's hit the music. We kicked off the show with the New Day celebrating Kofi Kingston's massive, historical WWE victory over Daniel Bryan for the title. It was a hell of a celebration. I really enjoyed it. Big E, Xavier Woods, Kofi, all speaking genuine. There was no point where it felt too scripted. I'm sure there were parts where it was scripted, but most of it just felt like the superstars were speaking their own mind, and it was brilliant. One of the best bits for me was Kofi just, celebrating him, thanking his family, thanking his friends, his family, and everyone who supported him, and I really, really enjoyed that part. Their celebrations were interrupted by none other than The Bar. They said, Kofi, you should be thanking us. You're going to lose the WWE title 24 hours after winning it. And we're just coming here to get our thank you, really. But they also put on a challenge for Kofi. Obviously, they're still using the rivalry between the New Day and The Bar as a focus point right now. I think that's the best way to say it. But they said we came back from Raw with a friend, and none other than Drew McIntyre came out. This is really exciting. If this is a hint that Drew McIntyre is not just going to come to SmackDown Live, but he could be, let's be honest, the #1 contender to take on Kofi Kingston for the WWE title. I will take that all day long. I will pay big money to see that match, because I would love to see Drew McIntyre versus Kofi Kingston for the title. I think that would really work. But yes, New Day accepted the challenge. The main event of the night will be a 6-man tag team match. The New Day versus The Bar. I felt this was a really good start to the show. Not as great as Raw's opening, but very, very good. It was good to see the celebrations and everything. And, the surprise appearance from Drew McIntyre from Raw. So I'm going to give this segment, I'm going to give it a 2.5. I think it did what it needed to do. But our first match of the night was actually a 6-man tag team. It wasn't The Bar versus the New Day. It was Ricochet, Aleister Black, and Ali taking on Andrade, Rusev, and Shinsuke Nakamura. This was a really good TV match. What I mean is it showcased everyone's talents, and it worked really, really well. Aleister Black and Ricochet looked fantastic. There's an amazing scene where Aleister Black, Ricochet, and Ali do their jumps into the ring. They sit back down like that, and it's just like, oh my god, that was awesome. It really looked like a superheroes faction right there, and I was like, oh man, this is a dream faction for me. Aleister Black, Ricochet, and Ali as a faction would be absolutely brilliant. Ali did get the victory for his team. It was a very short-lived victory, by the way, because seconds after his hand was put up for the victory, an RKO out of nowhere. Randy Orton's walking up it just came out of nowhere, and then he's straight away walking up the ramp backstage, and then Rusev's there laughing at him while Ricochet is trying to get Ali out of the ring, and Kevin Owens comes out of nowhere, stunner out of nowhere onto Rusev, and walks up the ramp as well. This is very much a good way to indicate everyone's trying to highlight themselves for the superstar shake-up, and it will be interesting. Kevin Owens and Randy Orton are two superstars I could bear to lose on SmackDown. I don't want them to go personally, because I think Randy's most likely, if this is the time for him to go, it would be the perfect time. He needs a reboot, in my opinion, on Raw. But I think Kevin Owens has found his niche on SmackDown Live as being the everyday, babyface. Have him on SmackDown, have Sami Zayn on Raw. That would work for me. But yeah, I really enjoyed this match. It highlighted everyone in the match. There is one bit I do want to laugh at, talk about, was Zelina Vega. She distracted Aleister Black. Now, and the first thing which came into my mind was, I don't think she was shouting anything to distract him. I think she was just going, don't forget to pick up the milk on the way home from the arena, because I'm not doing it this time. And I reckon that's her distraction, because obviously they're married and she's telling him to pick up the milk. So for me, I am giving this match a 3 out of 5. Next up, we had Samoa Joe put a huge message out to the WWE Universe and to the backstage WWE superstars. R-Truth and Carmella were out in the ring. It looked like they were going to do a 7-second dance break, but they were celebrating Carmella's victory at the Battle Royale for her. Samoa Joe comes out of nowhere, pretty much destroys R-Truth in seconds, puts out a message, says, anyone, and I mean anyone, I will destroy you like I destroyed Rey Mysterio in 56 seconds. I will destroy you too. Next thing we know, a surprise appearance, again, really good on these ones. Braun Strowman came out of nowhere. Braun and Samoa Joe, two massive, let's be honest, these two have been built up as destructive beasts on each other's show, and it was really interesting. I was like, oh, I want to see. I didn't know I wanted to see this match until I saw them two collide with each other on SmackDown Live, and it was just like, yes, I want to see it. Samoa Joe tried to obviously choke out Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman tried to slam Samoa Joe. Neither man could use their finishes on each other, and that made it even more interesting. Samoa Joe got out of the ring, went back up to the ramp, and Braun Strowman was there seen as victorious in this encounter. But very, very interesting. Funny story is the match after this was the IIconics versus local talent, and I will talk about that. But Braun Strowman's at the top of the ramp. The IIconics come out. They try and shake his hands. He looks at him and just walks away like, who the hell are you two? And just walk. It was just brilliant. I'm going to give this a 2.5 out of 5. So we had the IIconics, and they put their tag team titles on the line to some local talent. They were called the Brooklyn Bellas, I believe. Apparently they have a record of 45 victories and 0 defeats. You know, it's a squash match, let's be honest. This was entertaining for just the IIconics. They are very, very funny. I always find that I always enjoyed their stuff back on NXT, and now that they are women's tag team champions, they just feels a lot more, you know, I'm happy with this. The match itself was very, very simple, very basic, but the most interesting thing about the whole segment on this was Paige was backstage. She was watching. They showed her before the match, and then after the match she was interviewed. She's like, Paige, what are you doing here? And she's like, oh, I'm just watching the new, you know, women's tag team champions, because I am bringing my own team. So it looks like Paige has moved into management as like a Paul Heyman kind of figure for a new tag team. Could it be a team from NXT? Please be, you know, Io Shirai and Kairi Sane from NXT getting moved up as, you know, tag teams. That would be awesome. I would really enjoy that. But it's interesting to see where will everyone be as well on the Superstar shake-up. And we'll talk about that at the end of this video. But simple squash match, but the Paige part of it, same much bringing her own team to challenge the tag team champions, is very, very interesting and makes it more exciting. So for that alone, I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5. Next up, we had Shane O'Mac come out, and he was celebrating his WrestleMania victory over The Miz. I always find this really, it's interesting because Shane was at the start when he was talking about, in the promo, he was talking about Kofi winning, Becky winning, Seth Rollins winning, and it was very babyface Shane O'Mac, and the crowd were all cheering. And then he talked about his own victory, and it's amazing how easily Shane just turns from heel, you know, babyface to heel in such a short second, and you just go, oh crap, I hate this guy. But it was a really good little segment there. And then he talked about his victory over The Miz, how he had to defend himself from Mr. Miz at WrestleMania. He got a black eye from Mr. Miz. I like that. The only bit which really, for me, took away from this whole segment was The Miz wasn't there. I really wish The Miz had come out at a certain point, because Shane got Greg, the announcer, to come out back into the ring. He wasn't happy with how he was announcing best in the world Shane O'Mac. Got him to say it a few times, and literally dragged him out of the ring by his tie like a dog you know, just like, come on, follow me, and kept on making him say best in the world, and he just didn't appreciate how he was saying it, and he said, look, this is your last chance. You won't like what will happen to it. You have to say it exactly like you did, or better than you did at WrestleMania. And he does. Greg saves himself there. But at that point, I was hoping Greg would go, the best in the world, The Miz, and just do it that way, and the swerve, and The Miz comes out and just knocks out Shane. That's how I would have booked it, but no, Shane just walks off, and that's about it. A very simple segment, but it's showing could this, you know, Greg the commentator, the announcer, be a factor for Shane and The Miz's match in the future. Let's be honest, it's building up for that. So for me, I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of 5, because it's still putting, you know, it's building up for the Miz versus Shane rematch. Next up, we had the Usos versus the Hardy Boyz for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. This was a decent match, a good TV match, but I expected a lot more. Mainly because I think for me, these are two of the best brothers to ever held the tag team titles, the Usos and the Hardys. You think, who are the best brothers to ever hold tag team championships? For me, it's always going to be these two, in my opinion. I know that others think of the Young Bucks as being the best tag team in the world, but for me, it is the Usos. I think right now they are the best tag team in the world. The match itself was it was decent. There was a lot of shock factors, like the double Us not hitting, the splash usually putting people away. That you always usually put someone away, and you know, Jeff Hardy kicking out of that was impressive. Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy did look a little bit slower, but it was one of those matches I think the fans just wanted to see it. I'm glad I did get to see it, because it was entertaining for me as a tag team fan. The Usos did lose. It was a shock defeat. The Hardy Boyz using their veteran instincts to outdo the Usos. They tried to do the double Us. They missed. Allowed the Hardys to get back into the match. Matt Hardy hit the Twist of Fate, Swanton from Jeff Hardy, allowing the Hardy Boyz to claim the SmackDown Tag Team titles for the first time ever. I think that makes the Hardy Boyz now 8-time Tag Team champions in WWE. My God, what an impressive array. I think it's one of the most tag team titles in history. I'm not sure who has the most. I have to look that up in the future. But my God, it was entertaining. Good TV match. If it was a pay-per-view match, it wouldn't have been. I think if they had more time and they had stipulations as well, it would have been a lot better. But because it's a TV match, it was a shock title change. It was impressive. After the Hardys had won the match, Lars Sullivan came out of nowhere and he attacked the Hardy Boyz. Again, attacking legends. I don't know where this is going. Maybe they're going to try and rehash like the Legend Killer, but like Randy Orton had, but with Lars Sullivan, where he attacks legends of WWE. Maybe Randy Orton's next on the hit list. Let's be honest, Randy is now classed as a legend, so that would be interesting to see. For me, I'm going to give this a 3 out of 5. The match itself and the Lars Sullivan attack afterwards was really entertaining. So yeah, a 3 out of 5. Next up, we had Becky Lynch come out again, celebrating her WWE victory, her WWE Women's victory at WrestleMania, the main event, over Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair, allowing her to become the new Raw Women's Champion and the new SmackDown Women's Champion as well, all in one. I was like, it's a different promo. Becky knows how to work the crowd, but it was very similar to the promo we got the next day. But Becky did say again, look, I know how big the target is on my back. I am going to be challenged by every woman on both Raw and SmackDown, but I have my eyes open. I am ready for anything. She's walking up the mat, and what happens? Of course, Lacey Evans is going to come out. She gives her the women's right. This time it's actually effective. Raw, it wasn't that effective. This time Becky goes down like a sack of bricks, and that's it. Lacey Evans walks away. it's similar to what we got on Raw last week. Hopefully we get another feud for the SmackDown title, have Lacey Evans challenging for the Raw title. Just keep it that way, make it seem like Becky is getting, you know, surrounded by everyone like it should be, like she is a cornered animal, and see how she, you know, that she does really well in her promo. You can definitely tell Becky Lynch is enjoying the spotlight in this time, but it'll be interesting to see. We can't just have Lacey Evans and Becky Lynch for, you know, for both titles. We need to have someone else challenging for the other title, in my opinion. So I'm going to give this a 2.5 out of 5. Very similar to what we got on Raw. So yeah, it felt very similar. Last but not least for SmackDown Live for this week, it was the 6-man tag team main event match. The New Day versus The Bar and Drew McIntyre from Raw. I will say one thing and one thing only. The match was very sloppy. First things first, the match didn't get started straight away. We had Sami Zayn come out. The crowd went mental. They were singing his song again. And he just goes, you know what, you're not worth it. And then walks backstage. I was like, right, we had like 10 minutes left on the show at this point. And Sami wasted about a minute. So we had like 9 minutes of the match left. I was like, oh, for God's sake, Sami. Yeah, that irritated me a little bit. Another thing which really annoyed me, and I don't know if other people got this as well in other countries, but over here in the UK we had a commercial break after Drew McIntyre took out Xavier Woods. We had a commercial break, and the next thing we know, Drew McIntyre is nowhere to be seen. Big E gets tagged in, and the New Day are in full swing. It looked like, it was literally like, what happened to Drew? What happened to Drew during the commercial break? They didn't even show us that. So I was like, oh, okay, that's happened. Kofi Kingston did hit the Trouble in Paradise over Sheamus, getting the victory for the New Day. Continued their big celebration of Kofi Kingston's victory at WrestleMania. And then Kofi, just like at Mania, got his family, including his wife this time, to come into the ring and celebrate with them, you know. And that ended SmackDown Live for WrestleMania week. I'm going to give this a 2.5 out of 5. It was a very short match, very short. It was very sloppy in certain parts. You missed a bit on the commercial bait, like what happened to Drew McIntyre. And, you know, it just felt like The Bar in particular were more like a punching bag for the New Day in this match. But yeah, like I said, it's getting a 2.5 out of 5. I think that's a fair score for this main event. It was much better than what we got on Raw, but it still felt like a house show type of match for me. And there you go, guys. That was SmackDown Live for this week. What did I think? I think it was a good show for teasers, but everything else, the tag team matches for Aleister Black, Ricochet, and Ali was really good. It highlighted a lot of superstars in a very short amount of time, which really was effective in my opinion. The Usos versus the Hardy Boyz is a dream match for me, so I really enjoyed that. But the New Day celebrations at the start was really fun, and the celebrations at the end of their match against The Bar and Drew McIntyre was fun as well. But the match itself just didn't live up to what I was expecting for a main event after Mania. So yeah, I'm going to give SmackDown Live for this week, for me, a 2.5 out of 5. But what was your favourite part about SmackDown Live, guys? What was your worst part about SmackDown Live? Leave it in the comments below. If you do like our videos, please like, subscribe, and press that bell to keep notified. If you want to follow me on the old Twitter, it's at Boyze88. If you want to follow the channel on Twitter, it's at Smack Talk YouTube. That's a U and a tube. And I'll see you guys next time on Smack Talk Wrestling Reviews.